Welcome to our deep dive into conversations with God.
It's a fascinating book.
It really is. I know it draws people in for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
Maybe they're on a spiritual journey themselves or
Hmm.
just looking for new ways to think about life and love and
Right.
the
Yeah. The
universe.
universe, exactly.
The excerpts that you shared with me cover a lot of ground.
They do.
We've got God, we've got the meaning of life,
Hmm.
relationships, money,
All the big ones.
societal structures even.
Yeah.
Extraterrestrial life, it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. And what I think is so interesting is that it really doesn't just kind of like
Right.
touch on these things briefly. It really goes deep
Yeah.
with a perspective that is often challenging to a lot of
It definitely shakes things up.
conventional thinking. Yeah.
One of the things that I found most intriguing, maybe even
Okay.
a little disturbing, I don't know, maybe thought-provoking is a better word,
Yeah.
was this idea that suffering can actually be a good thing.
Right.
How can something that causes so much pain and,
Well, that's where I think it gets really interesting because
yeah.
it's arguing that suffering isn't inherently bad. It's not necessarily bad.
Okay.
It can be, a powerful catalyst for growth. I mean, think about it. It's often through our
Yeah.
most difficult challenges that we learn the most valuable lessons.
So it's not about seeking out suffering, but kind of reframing or shifting our perspective on it.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of viewing it as something to avoid at all costs,
Mm-hmm.
the book really encourages us to see it as a potential teacher,
Okay.
as a guide on this journey of personal evolution.
Okay, I can see that, but it still seems kind of counterintuitive.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
is it suggesting that we should actively seek out these painful experiences?
No, not quite.
Okay.
It's more about acknowledging that challenges are just an inevitable part of life, and instead of resisting them,
Right.
we can choose to approach them with a different mindset.
Yeah.
I think there's one of the excerpts you shared that really resonated with me, talking about the difference between choosing suffering and having it imposed upon us.
Right. Right. And that makes a lot of sense to me because
Yeah,
even when things happen that are totally out of our control, we always have the power to choose
absolutely. Yeah,
how we respond to them.
and that's where free will comes in
Right.
and the power of choice.
Yeah.
The book really emphasizes that we always have a choice
Mm-hmm.
in how we react, even in the face of adversity.
So it's not about denying the pain, but empowering ourselves to choose how we move through it.
Yeah,
And that's a really powerful concept.
it is. And it ties into another really important theme, I think,
Yeah.
in conversations with God, which is the nature of God.
Yeah.
It presents a view of God that's pretty different from what
Right.
many of us might be used to.
Yeah, forget the man with the beard up in the sky, kind of
Yeah.
judging us all. This is something else entirely.
Very different.
Yeah.
And this idea of God as this all-encompassing
Hmm.
energy or consciousness that's kind of
Right.
woven into everything.
Yeah.
But even referring to God as her sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really
It's a
interesting.
very deliberate choice,
Yeah.
suggesting that God transcends human gender constructs,
Right.
can't be limited by
Right.
our definitions.
Yeah, and I think that ties into this idea of personal interpretation as well,
Absolutely.
which I found really empowering.
Yeah.
It's like you have a direct line
Mm-hmm.
to the divine
The divine.
and you get to figure it out
Yeah.
for yourself.
It's about cultivating your own unique relationship with the divine,
Right.
free from, dogma or intermediaries.
Mm-hmm.
You become the interpreter of your own spiritual experience.
And that leads perfectly, I think, into another big topic that we wanted to explore, which is the meaning of life.
Yeah.
I feel like so many people struggle with this.
Right.
They feel lost. They feel uncertain about their purpose.
Yeah.
What is conversations with God? What does it have to say about that?
Well, it says that it's not about,
Right.
fulfilling some checklist
Mm-hmm.
or reaching a specific destination.
Right.
It suggests that the meaning of life is really to know ourselves fully
Okay.
and to become the grandest version of ourselves.
So it's about self-discovery. It's about personal evolution. It's about,
It is.
turning our highest vision of ourselves into our reality.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about aligning our thoughts, our words, our actions with our our most authentic selves.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, choosing without wanting, being fully present in each experience, not getting hung up on
Right.
specific outcome.
That resonates with me. I mean, I think that feels like a much more fulfilling way to approach life than just constantly
Then always chasing
chasing, yeah, these
that
external
internal things. Yeah.
goals and things.
Think about the journey, not the destination.
Mm-hmm.
And that journey, according to the book, is about realizing our own divine nature.
Okay, so it's not about seeking something outside of ourselves.
Right.
It's about recognizing this divinity
Recognizing it.
that already exists within us.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty profound.
It is.
This is a lot to process, but I feel like already
Sure.
my perspective is shifting a little bit just from
Yeah, that's the power of conversations with God.
yeah.
It invites us to question everything.
Yeah.
We thought we knew about life, the universe, and everything in between.
And speaking of questioning everything,
Okay.
let's talk about relationships. I was really intrigued by the book's take on this,
Yeah.
especially this emphasis on self-love,
Absolutely.
you know.
That is the foundation.
Yeah.
For all healthy relationships, according to the book, is the relationship we have with ourself.
Right. And it makes sense when you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
you can't truly love and connect
You
to
can't.
others if you don't love and accept yourself.
Exactly. It's like that saying,
Right.
you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we want to create fulfilling relationships, we need to fill our own cup first.
And it goes beyond just self-love. It also talks about how we attract what we are,
Yeah.
not what we want.
Right.
How does that work in real life?
Well, think about it this way. If you're constantly putting out negative energy,
Hmm.
complaining or focusing on what you lack, you're more likely to just
Right.
attract more of that into your life.
Yeah.
But if you cultivate positivity, self-love, abundance within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you'll start to attract those things externally.
So our internal world really does shape our external reality.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Conversations with God really emphasizes the power of our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions
Yeah.
in creating our experiences.
Okay.
And that brings us to another area where I think the book
Mm-hmm.
challenges conventional thinking, which is money.
Yeah, money.
Yeah,
Money is a loaded topic.
it is, very much so.
It seems like people either love it or they hate it. And
Yeah,
it's a source of a lot of stress and anxiety for a lot of folks.
absolutely. And
Mhm.
Conversations with God acknowledges
Yeah.
this ambivalence that we feel toward wealth
Mm-hmm.
and challenges us to look at our relationship with money and how our beliefs about it
Mm-hmm.
might actually be blocking us from experiencing abundance.
You know, one of the excerpts that really stood out to me was the story about the bag lady.
Oh, right, yeah.
Could you remind me about that?
It's basically a story about a missed opportunity to give.
Yeah.
And it really highlights these internal blocks that prevent us from
Right.
fully experiencing and sharing abundance.
Right.
And the idea is that our internal beliefs about scarcity can actually prevent us from being generous,
Right. Right.
even when we have the means to do so.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
If we believe that we don't have enough, then we act accordingly.
Yeah.
And then that reinforces the belief.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So the book challenges us to shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that
Right.
there is enough for everyone,
Yeah.
I think.
That brings up another question for me.
Okay.
The book seems to be critical of societal structures,
Yeah.
suggesting that they kind of perpetuate inequality
Right.
and division rather than unity
Mm-hmm.
and well-being.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a bold statement, but, Conversations with God doesn't shy away from challenging
Yeah.
the status quo.
Right.
And it encourages us to question, the systems that govern our lives
Mm-hmm.
and to consider whether they're truly serving our highest good.
Yeah, and it goes even further, suggesting the possibility of like a one world government.
I know it's a radical concept.
Radical concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, it raises all these questions about feasibility,
Right.
potential pitfalls, but at its core, it reflects the book's emphasis on unity and interconnectedness.
Mm-hmm.
And it challenges us to imagine a world where, cooperation and compassion
Right.
replace competition and conflict.
Where everybody has equal access to resources and opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a vision of a world that prioritizes the collective well-being
Right.
over individual gain.
Yeah. And this vision kind of extends to how we address poverty and inequality as well.
It does.
Conversations with God suggest that a society's evolution is measured by how well it treats its most vulnerable members.
It's a very powerful message.
Yeah, it is. This is a lot to take in. Where do we even begin to shift our thinking and our actions to align with these ideals?
Well, I mean, conversations with God suggest that the most powerful change starts with ourselves.
Okay.
It encourages us to examine our own beliefs, biases, and behaviors, and make conscious choices that reflect our highest values.
So it's about personal responsibility and the power of individual action.
It is.
To create collective change.
It's about recognizing that we're all co-creators of our reality, both individually and collective.
So even small acts of kindness and compassion and integrity can kind of ripple outwards.
Absolutely.
And contribute to a larger shift in consciousness.
Exactly. It's about aligning our actions with our highest truth.
Yeah.
And becoming the change we want to see in the world.
And conversations with God doesn't stop there. It even delves into the possibility of extraterrestrial life.
I know.
This concept of highly evolved beings, or HEBs.
It's a big one.
Yeah. I have to admit, this is where things start to feel a little out there for me.
It's a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
And it ties into this overall message of expanding our awareness and challenging our limited perspectives.
Okay.
It suggests that there are beings out there who have evolved.
Right.
Beyond our current level of consciousness and understanding.
And these HEBs, they've actually visited Earth and influenced human development.
That's what the book proposes.
Wow.
Yeah, it suggests that they've left behind teachings and wisdom that humanity is still grappling with today.
Okay, so what can we learn from these supposedly more evolved beings? Like, what makes their societies so different from ours?
Well, according to the book, HEB societies are characterized by peace and harmony.
Okay.
And this deep understanding of interconnectedness. They've seemingly mastered many of the challenges.
Right.
That humans are still struggling with.
Like war and poverty and
exactly
environmental destruction.
Yeah, conversations with God suggest that by studying their principles and practices, we can gain valuable insights for our own societal evolution.
Right. It's like they offer us this glimpse into what's possible.
A glimpse.
Yeah.
Into the possibilities.
For humanity, if we choose to evolve our consciousness.
Yes.
And our way of being.
It's an inspiring vision.
Yeah.
And it challenges us to consider what steps we can take, both individually and collectively, to move in that direction.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Okay.
It seems like conversations with God is all about challenging our assumptions.
Yeah.
And expanding our awareness of what's possible.
You're picking up on something important. It's about pushing past our limited perspectives.
Yeah.
And embracing a more expansive view of ourselves, our world, and our place in the universe.
Phew, we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
From suffering to God to extraterrestrial life.
Quite a range.
And we're just getting started.
We are. And as we continue our deep dive, I think it's good to keep in mind that question that the book poses.
Okay.
Which is, if the whole world followed you, would you be pleased with where you took it?
That is a powerful question to sit with.
It is.
Because it really challenges us to consider the impact of our choices, our actions.
It does.
Not just on our own lives, but on the world around us.
It invites us to align our lives with our highest values.
Yeah.
And to become the change we want to see in the world.
So what are some of the key takeaways that you think listeners should kind of keep in mind as we continue to explore conversations with God?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's important to remember that this book is all about personal empowerment. It's about recognizing that we have the power to create our reality. Right. To choose our responses and to shape the world around us.
And it's not about blindly accepting everything it says, right?
Right, exactly.
It's about using it as a catalyst for our own kind of critical thinking and spiritual exploration.
Exactly. It's about engaging with the ideas.
Right.
Questioning what resonates. and ultimately forging your own path.
So as we delve deeper into conversations with God,
Yeah.
I would encourage you to stay curious, to ask questions, and to allow yourself to be challenged and transformed by this journey.
And remember, you're not alone on this path.
Yeah.
We're all in this together, seeking understanding, connection, and a deeper sense of meaning and purpose.
I love that. All right, well, so let's dive into some more specific excerpts now. I'm really curious to hear what you've pulled out to share.
Okay, let's do it. It's fascinating how conversations with God really encourages this shift from seeking external validation to recognizing this power within ourselves. And I think one of the concepts that really highlights this is the book's exploration of psychic abilities.
Yeah, that's one of the parts that made me kind of raise an eyebrow.
Sure.
It claims that we all have this potential to tap into these psychic powers.
Right.
Do you believe that?
I mean, it's definitely one of the more unconventional ideas that the book presents.
Right.
But it ties back to this idea that we are more than just our physical bodies.
Yeah.
We have this untapped potential within us, these latent abilities just waiting to be awakened.
Okay, so it's not about, becoming some sort of superhero.
Right.
With mind-reading powers or something like that.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
But it's more about exploring these deeper aspects of ourselves.
Yeah, okay.
Think of it like expanding our awareness beyond the 5 senses that we typically rely on. Conversations with God talks about, a 6th sense, the sense of knowing.
Right.
It's that gut feeling, that intuitive hunch we sometimes get.
Okay.
And it suggests that we can actually develop these intuitive abilities through practices like meditation and mindfulness.
Right. It's about quieting the mind and kind of
quieting the mental chatter.
Yeah.
Becoming more attuned to those subtle energies and the whispers of our inner wisdom.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this connects to the book's overall message of personal empowerment.
Yeah.
It's about trusting our inner guidance.
Trusting it.
Yeah.
Recognizing that we have access to this.
Yeah.
Deeper level of knowing. It's like about reclaiming those intuitive powers.
Right.
And recognizing that we have a direct connection to a source of wisdom that goes beyond the rational mind.
This all kind of ties into, I think, the book's exploration of the afterlife as well.
It does, yeah.
Which is another topic that can spark a lot of debate and discussion.
For sure.
What is Conversations with God's take on what happens after we die?
Well, it offers a perspective that really challenges the traditional views of heaven and hell.
Okay.
It suggests that death isn't the end.
Right.
It's a transition to another state of being.
Okay, so it's not about being rewarded or punished after death. It's about...
But not in the traditional sense.
Okay.
No, it's about...
continuing our soul's journey.
Continuing that journey.
Yeah.
In a different realm.
In a different realm.
Yeah, and it challenges the idea that heaven and hell are literal places.
Yeah.
It suggests that they're more like states of consciousness.
So our experience after death is really determined by our internal state.
Yes.
Not some external judgment.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we create our reality.
Okay.
Both in this life and beyond.
And that brings up another interesting concept, reincarnation.
Yes.
Okay, so that's another one that can be kind of tough to wrap your head around.
It can.
Is Conversations with God suggesting that we come back to Earth?
It does.
In different lifetimes.
It suggests that it's a possibility.
Okay.
Framing it as a way for the soul to continue learning and growing through a variety of experiences.
So it's not about being stuck in some endless cycle of birth and death.
No.
It's about the soul kind of evolving.
It's about evolution.
Yeah.
It's about the soul expanding its awareness.
Through multiple lifetimes.
Through multiple lifetimes.
Okay, that's a pretty comforting thought.
It is.
It kind of takes some of the fear out of death.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's not the end, it's just a continuation of this journey.
A continuation, yeah. And Conversations with God emphasizes that we don't have to wait until we die.
Yeah. To access this wisdom. We can explore these concepts and connect with our eternal nature right now.
It's about becoming aware of our our soul's journey.
Yeah.
And living from a place of expanded consciousness.
Living from it.
Yeah,
and
even while we're still in these physical bodies.
Exactly. It's about embracing the fullness of who we are, both the physical and the spiritual.
Yeah.
And recognizing that we're eternal beings having a human experience.
So as we continue to explore conversations with God, it seems like the key here is to keep an open mind.
Yeah. Absolutely.
To question our assumptions and to be willing to consider these new possibilities.
Exactly. It's about approaching these ideas with a sense of curiosity and wonder, allowing them to challenge our perspectives and inspire us to live more consciously and authentically.
That's a great reminder. It's not about blindly accepting everything the book says. It's about,
engaging with the ideas and seeing how they resonate with our own
absolutely
experiences.
And as you continue reading, keep that central question in mind.
Yeah.
If the whole world followed you, would you be pleased with where you took it?
Right.
It's a powerful question.
It is.
To consider. It challenges us to reflect on our values, our choices, and the kind of impact we want to have in the world.
It invites us to step into our role as these conscious creators.
It does.
To live in alignment with our highest truth.
And to contribute. To the creation of a world that reflects our highest aspirations.
This conversation is already having a profound effect on me.
Good.
I feel like I'm starting to see the world in a new light.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where this exploration takes us.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to continue this journey with you.
Yeah.
Unpacking the wisdom and the insights that Conversations with God has to offer.
So before we dive into the next set of excerpts.
Okay. I'm curious to know, what's been standing out for you so far? What's really resonating?
Well, I think for me, one of the things that just keeps, coming back is this idea of being a conscious co-creator.
Yeah.
Of our reality. Conversations with God really emphasizes that it's not about some, distant deity dictating our lives, but about us actively shaping our experiences through our thoughts, beliefs, and choices.
That's so empowering. But it feels like a huge responsibility.
It is.
If we are creating our reality, then we're responsible for everything that happens to us, the good and the bad.
That's a key point that the book explores is personal responsibility.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose our responses, even when faced with challenging circumstances. We're not victims of fate. We have agency.
But how do we reconcile that with the idea that there are things in life that are beyond our control?
How can we be responsible for things that happen to us that we don't expect?
Well, it's not about controlling every external event.
Right.
It's more about shifting our internal focus.
Okay.
Conversations with God encourages us to take responsibility for our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions, which ultimately shape our experiences.
So it's about recognizing the power of our mindset.
Yes.
If we believe that we're powerless, then we'll act accordingly.
Exactly.
But if we believe that we have agency, then we're more likely to take actions that create positive change.
And that brings us to another important concept from the book, which is aligning our actions with our highest truth.
Yeah.
It's not enough to simply, have good intentions. We have to walk our talk.
I love that phrase, walk our talk.
Yeah.
It's about integrity, isn't it?
It is.
About living in a way that reflects our deepest values.
Exactly. It's about being honest and authentic in our interactions with others and most importantly with ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about living in a way that feels congruent with our soul's purpose.
One of the excerpts that really struck me was the part where it talks about avoiding manipulation or deception.
Yeah.
And it feels like we live in a world where those tactics are often rewarded,
Right.
So how do we stay true to our values when it feels like everybody else is playing a different game?
It's a challenge that a lot of people face. But Conversations with God reminds us that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with our authentic selves.
Right.
Even if that means going against societal expectations.
So it's about having the courage to be ourselves.
It is.
Even if it makes others uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's about trusting that by living authentically, we will attract the right people and opportunities into our lives.
And that authenticity can also empower us to speak up against injustice.
Absolutely.
To challenge the systems and structures that perpetuate inequality. The book seems to encourage that, doesn't it?
It does. Conversations with God doesn't, shy away from pointing out the flaws in our societal systems.
Right.
But it also offers hope.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even small acts of kindness and compassion can make a difference.
It's like that ripple effect we were talking about earlier,
The ripple effect.
Our individual actions, no matter how small, can contribute to this larger shift in consciousness.
And that shift in consciousness is what ultimately leads to lasting change.
Right.
It's about moving from a place of fear and separation to a place of love and interconnectedness.
So even though the book highlights the challenges that humanity is facing, it also offers this vision of a better future, a world where peace and justice and sustainability aren't just ideals, but realities.
It's a vision that requires each of us to step into our role as conscious co-creators, to make choices that align with our highest values and contribute to the collective good.
For those of us who are still figuring out what those highest values are or what our purpose in life might be, Conversations with God offers some guidance, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It encourages us to ask those big questions.
Yeah.
Who am I? What do I truly want?
Right.
What kind of impact do I want to make in the world?
It's about self-discovery. It's about introspection.
It is.
It's about, connecting with our inner wisdom.
Yeah.
Listening to the whispers of our heart.
And most importantly, having the courage to follow
where
our heart leads, even if the path is uncertain.
This conversation has been incredibly eye-opening.
Good.
I feel like I'm starting to understand the world and myself in a whole new way.
That's the magic of Conversations with God.
Yeah.
It has a way of sparking those aha moments and inspiring us to live more consciously and intentionally.
Well, as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to thank you so much for guiding me through these excerpts. Your insights have been invaluable.
It's been my pleasure. I'm always inspired by engaging with these profound ideas.
And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Remember that this is just the beginning of your exploration.
It is.
Take some time to reflect on what's resonated with you most deeply.
Yeah.
Consider how you might apply these insights to your own life.
Keep questioning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep trusting.
Yeah.
Your inner guidance. You have everything you need to create a life filled with purpose, meaning, and joy.
Beautifully said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Conversations with God.
Thank you.
Till next time.